Sky, we were talking about Earth Day and the Earth Trustee Agenda and some of its history, and I thought that giving a background from my youth on would help to show where I'm coming from. I was fascinated years ago by the work of Hayakawa. He wrote a book called Tyranny of Words. I knew him, and we used to talk out in San Francisco. I remember visiting him at his home. And the difficulty in communication is that, of course, we have different languages, for one thing, when we're trying to communicate globally, but everybody comes with a different meaning, different view of words, because depending on their culture, depending on their sex or their history. And people will respond with warmth and really pay attention to some words that register with them. Another person will respond with another word. Well, now with that little preliminary, let me go back and try to give you an understanding of why I think and do what I do based on my history. Again, I'm 84 years old. I was born in Davis City, Iowa in 1915. My father was an evangelist. I was told that I was very inquisitive, and parents encourage your children to be inquisitive. That's a good trait. And not only that, but we should listen inwardly for what we discover that's important and try to save it and use it and relate to it. We traveled all over the country. I was the eldest of 6 children, and I had amazing experiences. Just to cite one, when I was 4 or 5 years old out in Wyoming, my father was preaching on the street. The people that gathered around, they saw me standing there. I was just a 5-year-old, and they tossed some coins, a nickel or dime or something, to me, and I got excited and picked them up, and other people laughed and tossed money, and so pretty soon I had my hands full of coins. Well, the fascinating thing about this, explain it as you will, I know it's true. Don't believe me if you don't want to, but my mother had had a dream a couple of nights before that in which she saw us having a street meeting and me picking up coins off the street. And she says, and he picked up, and I've forgotten the amount, but let's say $15.03. We counted the coins, and it was $15.03. It was the exact amount that she had seen in her dream. So we live in a life where there are mysteries. So these strange things that happen in our life make us realize that there must be some other dimension of reality. But my experience again has been that every expert I've talked to in that field has come up with an explanation that contradicts explanations of other people in that field. There are people who talk about a 3rd dimension, a 4th dimension, a 5th dimension. My advice to you is, whatever you feel or view about these things, let what happens to you in this life, this real life that we all admit exists, let what happens in this life determine the value of what you think about other dimensions of reality. And I would add to that my own Christian conviction. While it is a hypothesis that cannot be proven, I don't understand why it's still such a mystery. It seems to me it would be very simple for Jesus to come back and have a press conference at the United Nations and to let the whole world know what other dimensions of reality are like. They must exist. But we live in a two-dimensional reality. The real world we all agree on, and other dimensions that we have lots of differences about. I had an amazing conversation with the Dalai Lama. I was flown over to Budapest to receive an award and be made a member of the Club of Budapest. And the other person on the platform with me was the Dalai Lama. We had a conversation afterwards. And I said, I so admire what you have done in your efforts for your country and your efforts for peace and for the environment. And I said at the same time, I want to mention to you that I don't agree with your religion. You know, he's a Buddhist, and of course he has the Buddhist hypothesis or view of what is beyond this physical world. And I happen to have the Christian hypothesis, and other people have Hindu or have other beliefs. But again, if it's helping you in this life, fine. But the real test of its value, in my mind, as far as other people are concerned and your relationships to other people is concerned, and what happens to the United Nations and in the world at large, depends on how we apply the values and the feelings. I know, reading again, relating to Christian life, I believe whether it's Billy Graham or whether it's great evangelists of the past, they recognize that a strange thing happens at times when they feel an anointing. It seems like there's something from another dimension that is getting into their words and into their expression of their faith, and that they communicate more effectively through the feeling than just through the words. So our semantics may be different, but we know the power of love. And that is the great truth that needs to be shared all over the world in the new millennium.